Hey, it's Nick. Welcome to the Sweaty Startup. I take pride in having a pretty focused podcast, talking about business, how to grow your business, how to make your business balance with your life. So if you don't have a child yet, and if you don't have plans to have a child, you're probably not going to find this interesting. Skip it, save it for later. But I also take pride in the fact that I actually dive in, provide actionable advice, actionable content. So I'm going to do some talking about balancing entrepreneurship, balancing owning a business with having a baby. My wife and I brought a new baby home. It was 14 days ago. This baby's 2 weeks old, and it's a tough balance. But my wife and I have taken it extremely serious, and I'm going to tell you what's worked for me, what's allowed my wife and I to strike a good balance, and more importantly, sleep. So I've never said that this is easy, and I'm not trying to say right now that it's easy, but there are some things that you can do to make it easier. First of all, sleep. If you don't get enough sleep, if you don't sleep enough, you will be a horrible decision maker. Your energy will be gone. And as an entrepreneur, you rely on your energy. You rely on your energy to sell. You rely on your energy to train and motivate your employees, to get customers, to make good decisions. All of that goes out the window when you're sleep deprived. So you have got to make sleep a priority. So with the baby, I'm gonna tell you what worked for us. We got a book called Baby Wise. There's several books, they all say the exact same thing. You can read as many as you want, as few as you want, or do it your own way. Doesn't matter to me, but I'm gonna tell you exactly what's worked for me and my wife. We read Baby Wise. The whole concept here, the entire concept is, if you hold your baby, if you coddle your baby, if the baby falls asleep in your arms, you're in for a long, long, long road. Yes, a baby this size, you can't teach a ton of skills to. He's awake right now. He's really cute. A baby this size, you can't teach a lot of skills to. And I'm not telling you to do sleep training or cry it out or do anything intense, okay? I'm telling you to love your baby, hold your baby, coddle your baby, do whatever you want to do. But there is one skill that you need to work on this baby with starting right now. And that is the ability to be comfortable without being in your arms. Sounds silly, right? Well, you look at the babies that don't sleep. You look at the parents that are miserable. I've had friends, I've had siblings that have had babies that don't sleep. The common theme is they hold their baby all the time. If you hold your baby and rock your baby to sleep, it's gonna need your body, your warmth. A baby thrives on a warm mother's touch. And when they wake up in the night in their bassinet and that warm mother's touch is gone, they're not comfortable. They're not used to it. It's scary. They cry until you pick the baby back up. Same thing goes for this little guy. If I held him like this all day, every day, he would only feel comfortable being held. Okay, he came from a womb inside of my wife's belly, and it's warm, it's cozy in there, and he comes out, and it's scary, it's wide open, it's cold. So he wants to be up against his mom. He wants to feed. He wants to lay on her belly. Same with me. If you do that all the time, your baby will not sleep. Your baby will keep you up all the time. Okay, so what my recommendation to you is, don't feed the baby to sleep. There's a thing in Baby Wise called eat, play, sleep, which just means basically don't feed your kid to sleep. Do a little bit of action, a little bit of playing before you put the baby to sleep. So if you feed the baby to sleep every single time, that baby's gonna wake up startled without feeding right then and be scared and cry, right? So the best way to get your kid to sleep, and so you can actually have a balance, you can actually run your business, you can focus, is to get the baby used to laying down on their own. How do you do that? Well, you put the baby down on a blanket like this, and 3 minutes later, that baby's gonna cry. You pick up the baby, you hold it, then you put it right back down. Put it right back down on the blanket. Then it'll look at you, it'll roll around, and it'll cry. And if it starts to whimper, you just put your hand on the baby. Then if it cries hard, you pick up the baby, you hold the baby, and then you put the baby back down. Pick up the baby, put the baby back down. Pick up the baby, put the baby back down. Eventually, over time, the baby will start to feel more and more comfortable being on its back, which is the healthy way for a baby to sleep at night. So the reason why parents have sleepless nights and why babies don't sleep at night is because they're being held all day like this. Held all day like this. Makes them extremely comfortable being held. Then it's nighttime. You cannot hold your baby in your bed. It's extremely dangerous. It's called co-sleeping. My best friend in high school lost a baby that way. Woke up in the night with a baby smothered under the covers. Horrific, right? People do it all the time because it's the only way the baby will sleep. So then they put the baby on their chest and sleep with the baby. Well, that's not the way that you can do it. The only way to healthily or safely have a baby sleep is the baby on its back in the bassinet. So you have to start working on getting the baby comfortable with being that way. Now, I'm not an advocate of making the baby cry it out. I'm not an advocate of ignoring your baby. I'm not an advocate of not giving your baby love and skin-to-skin contact, but you have got to get the baby comfortable laying on its back. So work with the baby until the baby can do it. That's all I got to say. Same thing goes for my 2-year-old. I got a kid who is turning 2 in a week, and his bedtime routine consists of a bath with dad. We brush his teeth together. We walk in his room. We put on his pajamas. We say a prayer, and then I walk out of the room. He walks over to his big boy bed and goes to sleep on his own. My friend gets in the bed with his kid, has to lay in bed for an hour to get the kid asleep, reads the kid 3 books. Then the kid wakes up at 11 and basically sleeps every single night between his wife and him. How's that for any kind of sustainable sleep? How is that for a love life? How is that for a relationship with your wife? It's impossible, right? So, and the way that we've got him to that point is by working with him and making him comfortable with it. We don't ignore him. We don't let him scream. We don't lock him in the room. We just work on it. We practice it. We make him realize that he's safe and that he's comfortable and that he should sleep in his bed without needing us to be there or coddle him or anything along those lines. So it's all about consistency. Teach your baby the skill of just feeling comfortable laying on its own, and you'll actually get some sleep. It's not easy. It's not hard. It's not that easy, right? There's so much more to it. There's so much sacrifice that goes into having kids. I do a lot to help my wife. She's a superstar as well. I usually let her go to bed at 7, and I stay up with the young baby, and I put Timothy to bed. I feed the young baby, and by 11 p.m., I take the baby back into my wife's room so that she can feed him and he can go back to sleep. But it's just it's a teamwork thing. So I'm not suggesting that you make the ultimate sacrifice and coddle your kid for every minute. But I'm also not suggesting you ignore your kid and don't love your kid and make them have separation anxiety. But on our forum, our Sweaty Startup forum, which we use Reddit for, somebody posted on there and said, I had a baby and I got totally overwhelmed. My side income, 95% of it dried up. I just couldn't do it. And then he went on to say, that's okay. Like, I needed to be there to support my wife. I needed to make family a priority. And I got kind of angry. I got kind of thinking that's victim mentality. So I know it's hard. I know having a baby's hard. I know you're gonna have to make a lot of sacrifices. I'm not saying I'm a master at any of this. I'm still learning every day. But why would you not take control? Why would you not realize that building your business is the 5-year plan for your family? If you build a business and you work now and get something going, you'll be at a point 3-5 years from now where you don't have to work anymore. You don't have a 9-to-5 job. You can spend that extra 20, 30 hours a week with your family. You can go on vacations. You can go to your kids' video games. You can go to your kids' softball games, whatever it is. The ultimate reward and gift that you can give your kids and your wife, if you're a man, or your husband, if you're a woman, is getting your business sustainable and making it so that financial freedom is yours and you don't have to trade your time for money anymore. So work smart and hard with your kids. If you just work hard with your kids, intuition will lead you down a path of these kids being super dependent on you, super needy, you won't get any sleep, and yes, your business might totally dry up. You gotta get serious about doing the steps to let yourself sleep, to get some balance so that you can keep your eye on the prize and accomplish your family's 5-10-year goals. One last thing is that it's so emotional. It's such an emotional time. It's really easy for me to sit here and tell you that I know what I'm doing and that there's a certain way that you can do this and get better at it, but it's so hard. It's so hard. You gotta be strong, and you gotta realize that it's extremely traumatic for the woman, for your wife or your girlfriend or whoever it is. And also this stuff that I'm talking about putting the babies down and letting them feel comfortable on their own. It's a team effort, and if both sides are not in complete agreement that it's the right thing to do, it'll never work. It'll be a battle, and so it'll be rough. So my suggestion to you is support your wife, especially during the first few weeks. I wouldn't get too serious about this stuff until later. But yeah, just support her. Realize that it's an emotional, tough time. Set some time away from your business, but do not neglect your business. And you don't have to. That's the whole point of this video, is that I have a baby. We had our first baby right during a very, very busy time for my business and my career. You can do it. You can make it work. You can get yourself out of bed. You can work towards the goals. You can raise kids that are less of a around-the-clock, full-time, needy, clingy commitment, and you can raise kids that are feeling comfortable laying on their own and sleeping through the night and allowing you to have a little bit of balance. So take it for what it's worth. Again, there's hundreds of ways that you can do all this. Parenting is incredibly hard. I'm not an expert parent. I'm not claiming to be an expert parent. I'm just telling you what has worked for me and what has worked for my wife and what we found success doing and what we found helps us have balance so that I can focus on my business and I can grow my business. Hope this helps.